going on, guys? I've got a 2006 Mitsubishi Eclipse that I just recently purchased for my son, and I realized that the air conditioning isn't working. So we're going to take a look and we're going to try to diagnose what the issue is, and we're going to show you guys how we do it. And I've actually got a buddy of mine with me here. That's Gary. Everybody say hello to Gary. And he's actually going to walk us through everything that we're going to do to check this car out.
All right, let's go. Well, we're going to completely vacuum his system and recharge it with new 134A refrigerant. Some of the things we're going to need out here is our gauge set right here. You can get at Harbor Freight. An inserter for dye, because we are going to put some dye in the system so we can check for leaks later. We have a vacuum pump over here that we can use to get all the moisture out of the system. We'll show you how to do that in a bit. That's basically it. We're going to get started.
Let's do it. Now that we've got the low and the high pressure valves connected to our gauge, what are we going to do next?
Well, next I guess we're going to go ahead and connect to our vacuum pump with the yellow hose here. And you want to connect it to your valve here, whichever size fits. Keep the other one capped. And you only want to tighten this finger tight. You don't want to get your wrench out and tighten this. It has seals in there that will keep it from leaking. But once we're connected, we can go ahead and turn our compressor on by plugging it in. Again, if you can rent one of these at like AutoZone, I think for like $100 deposit or $150, whatever it is, you can rent it and then bring it back to them, or you can buy one at Harbor Freight for right around $90 or $100 and some dollars. I bought one. When you get it, make sure you put oil in it so that you can see that it has oil in it. And when you're running these things, this pump, it's going to pull moisture out of the system, and you're going to see some what looks like smoke coming out of here, but it's just condensation, just vapors, and that's a good thing. Actually, that's what it's doing, is pulling that out of the system, because you don't want any moisture in your system. And then we're going to open our valves. So we were already connected to our low pressure and high pressure, and we're closed here. We're going to open everything. First we'll open these valves here, and you won't hear anything. You'll hear the compressor start to work once we open one of the lines up here. There you go. You hear the compressor start working. On the low pressure side, we're going to pull back, hopefully between like 12 and 20 negative PSI in the system, and hopefully that holds. And we should get at 0 on our high pressure side. And we're going to let this run, just vacuuming out the system for about 10 minutes at least. You can see the needle dropping now. It's already going a little lower. And I think you can, was I seeing some vapors already coming out? You can see vapors coming out of the system there.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And this isn't getting hot. It's staying whatever temperature it is. So don't worry, it's not overheating. It's pulling moisture out of your system. And that's a good thing. But we're going to let it sit for at least 10 minutes and see where we're at on the gauges, and then come back and go from there.
Okay, so we'll be right back in a few minutes.
A few inches later.
So we've been sitting here for a little over 10 minutes, and if you look right here, you can see that it is holding pretty steady at between 18 and 19. So I think right now we got to put a little dye in the system. How are we going to do that?
Well, what we're going to do to put dye in the system is we are going to fill this little dye injector.
And this top screws off, right?
Yes, this top screws off right here, and you fill it with dye, with this dye, or other kinds of UV dye that you can then use to search for the leaks with a UV light. But we're going to fill this, and by the way, have gloves, have towels, have rags, because you are going to get dye on yourself and probably everywhere on the car. Last car I did, it looked like we hit a deer with dye inside of it. But you can wash it off, and that's what you'll want to do when you're done. You'll want to wash everything off, get rid of the dye, and then run the system until, and then check for leaks later.
Well, it's good. This is orange dye, and it's an orange car, so we'll be all right.
Yeah, you won't see it at all. Actually, you really, even though you can see it on my gloves and stuff, when it comes out after shaking it up, you can't really see it. It's not this dark, but with the UV light, you can really see it. So we're going to first, again, as Frank said, we got running the negative pressure here, almost 20. We're going to block off the hoses and shut the compressor off and get ready to recharge the system. All right?
All right.
Here we go. Go ahead and shut this one.
So you're closing that one.
Closing the low pressure, closing the high pressure. So now nothing's coming from the compressor anymore. Let's move on to putting the dye into the injector and connecting it to the system. All right, so after we cut the vacuum pump off and prior to that we had closed both of these valves here so that nothing's pulling anymore from the vacuum pump, we want to see that we're still holding pressure. So again, the blue and the red valves here are still open to the system. So we're connected to the system, we're seeing the pressure that the system holds, and we're going to wait about another 10 minutes with just sitting here to see if we lose pressure in the low pressure side. We're going to go ahead and fill this injector with the dye now. Just going to unscrew this lid here, and you can see there's dye in it from the last time.
A little bit. It looks actually a little green in there.
Yeah, it changes. The way it is, I shut this up. I'm going to go ahead and pour some in there. That should be enough. Alright, screw this back out. Oh, it's too much. See what I mean? That's a shame. I spilled dye everywhere.
Damn. It's a good thing it's the same color as my car. You got some loud ass neighbors.
There are jet skis running today on the lake. I hope you get some pictures of the lake while you're here.
We'll have pictures of the lake in this video. So it's been about 10 minutes and we're still holding pressure, and that jet ski is still flying by the house.
Also, before we get started here, let's just double check.
The ambient
It's about
temperature.
80 degrees out today. I don't know, 80 degrees roughly.
Yeah.
We're in the shade, but it's pretty humid down here.
Yeah.
The glasses are fogging up.
All right, let's go.
All right, so we're going to put that injector on, right? So we're going to close off the low pressure valve to hold pressure in the line there. And I'm going to disconnect it and connect it here. I don't hear any leaks there.
Yep.
I'm going to connect to this. I'm going to connect this back onto there. And it's on.
All right.
So now we should be able to open this back up.
Mm-hmm.
And it might draw some of that dye in the system right now. But before we do that, I'm gonna go ahead and put on our refrigerant can and get that punctured and bleed the line from there, so we get any other air out of the system as well before we start to add back into the system.
Why are you shaking it?
Because the directions tell us to do so.
Smart guy.
I don't know, just builds up the pressure in the can, I guess, helps it all escape out of the canister. With the negative pressure in the system, when we open the valve, it should help draw, you know, the refrigerant out of the can as well, but shaking it up seems to help keep pressure. Some different cans give you directions when you're filling it as well to keep tilting it 90 degrees until it drains out. We also have a little valve here in a window so we can see when it's the gas and the fluid is moving through there and when it's not. And
So basically just follow directions.
We're gonna go ahead and puncture this can now, screw it on our valve. Always wear safety glasses, or glasses at least. Safe to see. Alright, we're going to go ahead and puncture this. It's all the way down. I'm going to back it off. Not even hear it a little bit. That can should be open. I'm going to take the tire pressure gauge and bleed a little air out here, or whatever air may have been in the line. Yeah, stand back. You don't want to get that in your face. There you go. Refrigerant. Refrigerant. Alright, so we know that's full. I'm going to go ahead and open the low pressure line here so that the pressure in the line can back out, and I'll bleed that one more time really quick. Lots of pressure.
Lots of pressure, 90, huh?
All right, I'm gonna bleed a little out again. I don't want to go too much. I don't want to start shooting dye out of here. Okay. Now once we open our line here, it's gonna start to inject this refrigerant into the low pressure. All right, now we want to start running the system is what we want to do. So we want to start the car, and while the car is running with the air on full blast, max AC, turn the fan on high, and we're going to stick a little thermometer in the vent so that we can monitor the temperature and see if it's getting cooler. And we'll be watching to see if the compressor comes on, because right now we don't know if we have a leak, we don't know if the compressor's bad, and that's why it's not working. But we'll find out after we do this test.
All right, let's start up this fast and furious car.
We want to make sure that our lines are clear of the belts or anything, or fans or anything that's in the way. You don't want to get those caught up in there. We're clear. All right, we're running. Frank's going to turn on his air conditioning, max AC. Going to grab our little handy thermometer there. We should go ahead and stick that thermostat there into the vent. Right. And then run it over the steering wheel, and we'll get it out here on the side of the car where we can kind of see it and monitor it. I'll turn it on.
I tell you, the air coming out of that already actually feels a little cool.
Does it?
Yeah.
It's already saying 76, 77 degrees right now. We'll see though. It's on cold all the way, right, Frank?
It's on cold all the way, yeah.
All right. We're gonna let it run here. We're gonna go see if the compressor's kicking on.
Of course, the little AC light on there should be blue and it's green right now.
Well, that's all right. It might not be kicked on yet. We got to make sure we have enough pressure coming from the system. You see our pressure dropped all the way back down to 30. We were up at 70 when the can was first put in. So we're going to make sure it empties into the system. See the pressure going up now as I'm tilting the can left and right. Seeing a little bit flow through our little window there as I tilt it. So we're still getting some out of this can. I'm going to keep doing this for a couple minutes until we're sure this can's empty. And then I'll close off the valve, and we'll get the second can, and hopefully we should start to hear the compressor kick on here soon. And when we see that, we'll also see changes in the gauges.
So after just a few minutes, you can see right there, it is 54 degrees. It was just 56 degrees, 55 degrees, 57 degrees. So we just wanted to be clear. We wanted to see how much pressure, how much high pressure and how much low pressure we needed to have in the car. And like we said, it is 80%, it is 80 degrees outside. So the low pressure gauge should be between, what does that say? I don't have my glasses.
40 and 50
40 and
PSI,
50 PSI.
And the high pressure between 175 and 210 PSI. And we were running right about 30 on the low side with one can of refrigerant in it, and only about 125 on the high side.
And then to put the other can in, we'll just close this valve right here, and then we'll put the new can on.
I punctured the can, now I'm opening it back up.
You can actually see it looks like a little dye is shot out here.
Yeah. Probably still a little.
Watch my eyes. There we go.
Okay. Yep. Now we're ready to go ahead and open our low pressure line again. Let this can feed in. You should see the gauge start to change. Put it up to 70. Alright. Let's see where we're going. It's going to fall off a little bit. Don't worry about that. It's going to start filling. And then as it starts filling the system, the compressor should kick off at some point. And you know, you'll see the pressure change. It rides at a certain level when it's off and another level when it's on. So when you're filling it, it's going to come a little high at first when the can is first emptying into the system, then it should back down a little bit. And then what you're looking for is the compressor to eventually kick on and off. And it's when it's on, when it's off, it'll go low pressure, will drop. When it's on, the low pressure will go up a little bit. It's not just going to stay at a steady spot. But when you're watching it, let it back off a little bit as you're filling. You can see we are still filling the system. You see our pressure already dropped back down to 45. We're almost within range now of where we want to be, but we are still getting some freon or refrigerant back into the system. And we're still below on our high pressure, so we know we can keep emptying this can in there.
All right. So we're up to 150 on the high pressure side, and we're still hovering right around 30 on the low, and we want that about 40, right?
Yep. So I think we can add a little more to the system.
Let's see what the temperature is inside the car.
Oh, there, it finally kicked off.
Oh, nice. Oh yeah, let's see what the pressure change.
Oh, there it kicked back on. You just missed it. But watch, it'll probably do it again in a second. So it's running 30 while the compressor's on, and 150 on the high side.
And what did the gauges do? Did the gauges?
The gauges moved. We went up to like 40 when it was off, and I think 150 dropped down on the high side down to like 125 again. But I think we can still add some.
Yeah,
we'll add a little bit more from the big can.
And let's see what the temperature is. 41, 40 degrees. That is way better than what it was before.
40, it's popping up to 40 and only 125.
Yep, so the compressor dropped off, and now the compressor turned back on, and you can see the gauges go, the pressure gauges. So we need to add more refrigerant.
Yep, a little more.
So we're at 50. And we shut it off.
Yep.
Closing the high.
Closing the high valve. Closing the low valve. We already closed them on both sides here. This was already closed. Alright. Well,
so
they're just closed where they were, so they're just holding pressure in their system now. So it's not really a reading from the car.
Right, yeah.
That pressure got a little high though, actually.
Let's see what the temperature is. Yeah, temperature's going up, 53.
Yeah, it's only getting down to about 350. Kind of kicks on, but.
So let's bleed some out. So the compressor's staying on. It's going up, it's climbing. And then it's staying right there. Still might be a little high. See if the AC's the temperature's dripping, dumping. Temperature's going back down a little bit, yeah. Yeah, you might need to do a little bit more. That's good.
No movement on the needle yet. What were we? 220? What was it? 175 to 220?
Right. Let's just confirm.
Well, now we're back down to 30, so maybe it was okay where the pressure was.
So again, 80 degrees outside. The low pressure 450 to 400 to. No, sorry. Low pressure at 80 degrees is 40 to 50 psi, and the high pressure should be 175 to 210.
Is that what that is?
Houston, we have a problem.
So we disconnected our low pressure, and we notice it's bubbling out of there, so the valve stem is not holding. It's stuck open and it's letting some pressure out, so looks like we're just leaking all of our stuff out of there. I'm gonna spray it down, wipe it down really quick just to confirm, even though it's pretty easy to tell it's leaking out of that valve stem. So it's gonna all be gone pretty quickly. You see it's getting all over everything. If we put that black light down here right now, it's gonna be everywhere. So for now,
I just need to put the cap back on it.
let's put the cap on it. I think it's going to press it out of there. We'll tighten that and see if we can hold it a little bit. Put the high pressure on. Spray this down some more. Try and get all my UV dye that just kind of sprayed out when I disconnected. And you know, that way when we come back and look at it, we're already going to see some remnants, but it's fairly clean now, so we shouldn't see too much.
So we can just leave it running for another couple minutes.
Yeah.
And it was leaking out pretty good.
We're going to go look up whether or not we can replace that valve stem.
Yeah.
Or if you have to replace this whole line. I don't know.
As soon as we find out, we'll let you guys know. Hopefully we can just replace that valve stem and we don't have to replace the entire line, but we're going to look that up right now and then we'll let you guys know.
Tomorrow for sure. Eventually.
So right after work, I took the car to just my local mechanic and I had him drain all of the refrigerant that was in it, because obviously yesterday we filled it with refrigerant. Since we're going to change the valve stems, we had to drain all the fluid out and I didn't want to shoot it all up into the atmosphere, so we did the right thing. And we picked up the new, what is this called? This is the service port repair kit. I got this from
AutoZone.
From AutoZone, and we're gonna take the old one out. We're gonna put the new one in.
Basically, it's just a couple valve stems.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to go ahead and install the new one now. Let's see. Let's hope that holds.
All right, now that that's in, we need to vacuum out the system, make sure it's completely empty, and then recharge it. "10 minutes, just like before."
2,000 years later.
Temperature-wise, about 40 degrees, I think.
38,
38 degrees.
39.
So that's pretty cool air. So let's just take it apart, close everything up.
Take it apart, close it up. So I just want to run a quick recap. So what exactly, so the situation we had was my 2007 Mitsubishi Eclipse. The air conditioning didn't work when I bought the car. What did we do?
Well, we thought we'd check it out for leaks, so we discharged the system and recharged it with some dye in it, and in the process of doing that, we noticed that the low pressure valve stem was leaking.
So it turns out we didn't even need the dye.
We didn't even really need the dye to begin with. We noticed it in the middle of the job. So anyway, we discharged it again. We bought a little valve kit. I think it was like $3 at AutoZone. Replaced the low pressure valve stem and then vacuumed the system out again, recharged it with refrigerant.
And we added dye to it this time also, just in case there might have been another leak someplace.
I'm sure there's some on us somewhere in your whole car, probably.
Exactly. So
he has air.
Yeah, I got air. It's blowing. You saw it. It's blowing 39 to 40 degrees, which is plenty cold. Yeah, exactly. Parental code. So I just want to thank you guys for watching. If you guys did like the video, I'd appreciate it if you gave me a thumbs up. And if this is your first time to my channel, don't forget to subscribe.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome to another episode of Redneck's Garage.
Redneck Garage.
Today, we're going to be doing some air conditioning. And I ain't talking about 2 windows down, 40 miles an hour. I'm talking AC.
They call that 240 air.
240 air, 240 air. That's what we're all about.
My daddy called it 270 air. I didn't know you called it 240 air.
Yeah, my dad is a little old. He likes to drive slow.
My daddy had a Camaro.
Oh, my daddy drove a Volvo. I'm sorry, did I just say that?
Oh, it's too much. See what I mean? That's a shame.